Welcome to KPI Fireside. Our mission is simple: to improve companies and to improve careers through continuous improvement. In every episode, we explore the spark, the moment, the mindset, or the method that ignites real change. Whether you're just starting out or leveling up, you'll find the insights and inspiration to fuel your next improvement. Welcome back to KPI Fireside, a continuous improvement podcast. I am your host, Keith Norris. We are now 30 episodes in on this podcast, and we have heard from some amazing lean practitioners, executives, and change agents from around the world. And every one of them has brought a unique spark to the conversation. But when you listen closely, certain patterns start to emerge. There's common themes, there's shared struggles, and timeless lessons about how improvement really happens. In today's episode, we are going to pull together some of those threads, and you will hear some insights from these past guests and reflections from me as we explore what unites every great improvement story. You've got people, culture, teamwork, leadership, and the daily habits that make change last. For those of you listening to audio only, check out our YouTube channel for the video version, which will show you the podcast guest names. You can check out the show notes for more info. All right, let's get started. So the first theme that we're going to get into today is improvement starts with people. If there's one thing that every one of these conversations makes clear, it's that improvement really starts with the people. You can have frameworks, you can have metrics, but without trust, respect, and curiosity, none of it sticks. Leaders who listen, teams who feel heard, cultures that reward learning over blame. That's where real improvement takes root.
We have two key principles. One is respect every individual, and the second one is lead with humility. And we find that they're kind of interconnected. One is a top-down look at it, and the other is a bottom-up look at it. But the people here need to look at them by respecting them, and the people here need to have their voices heard by people who are willing to listen and act on it. And it's what enables the engagement of the people in the improvement effort. And if you don't have the people doing the work engaged in it, you're going to have a bad culture. If you've got the people engaged, you create a good culture. To us, that is the definition of a good culture, is the people are engaged in the improvement effort.
I was recently certified as a personal development mindset coach, which really helped me out with the training side. So training is I'm going to show you the tools, teach you the tools, but coaching is really getting the best out of someone. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to guide you because you have the answers, so I'm going to ask you those questions to get the best out of you. So if I ask someone out there and say, okay, I want you to go and move that table over there so we're not having to walk 30 steps anymore. Instead of telling them what to do, it's, hey, I see that you have a lot of, walking between you and that table. What do you think you should do? They have the answer. So coaching is getting the answer out of them. The more you coach, again, you're empowering those employees, you're getting them engaged, and it becomes their process. So make sure that you're a coach at the right time, train when it's necessary, but coaching is probably going to get you a lot farther when you're trying to get people to really drive into the continuous improvement.
I think that's such a good lesson for continuous improvement too, because you can't do everything yourself. As much improvement as somebody might want to make, it's great to have a leader with a strong ambition, but you really have to get people to do things because they want to do them, not just because you want them to do them. So that's great advice there, great wisdom. The second theme is really about culture. Culture is the real competitive advantage. You can copy a process, you can implement a system, you can hire consultants, but you can't copy culture. Culture is what people do when no one is watching. It's the shared habits, it's the values and beliefs that drive real results over the long term. The companies that win at improvement are the ones who create a culture where learning, respect, and accountability are the norm, where doing better isn't just a goal, it's an expectation. That's what makes culture the ultimate competitive advantage.
Culture is driven by leadership. Culture ought to be the unspoken and spoken, written down and unwritten rules and behaviors of the department. What you allow and tolerate becomes the culture. If you tolerate a manager yelling at the employees, or watching the clock, or micromanaging them, or embarrassing them in public, that becomes part of the culture. See, culture is a defining whether or not someone's going to stay or not. People don't leave. People do. Say it all the time, and I found that in accounting. People do not leave jobs; they leave people. They leave who they're working for. Most people love their jobs, but they leave the culture. And I told people I did a presentation. I said, listen, you can take two people that make $80,000. You got an $80,000 person who walks in, there's coffee, there's donuts in the break room. Everybody's, good morning. Hey, Keith, how you doing? How's the camera? By the way, you did an excellent job on da-da-da-da-da. Boom, 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 boom. Then you got this. It's 8:05, and you're supposed to be at 8. It's 4:15. Where are you? Christmas Eve. I got when I first got here, I got a email at Christmas Eve at 5:15. It's 5:15. You're supposed to be here till 5:30. These are 80,000, 80,000. Which one feels like more money? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Toxic cultures are tolerated by the top, and the leadership has the ability to change that.
This whole business of respecting people is a big challenge, and that's something, one of the things Mr. Shingo made a point of a long time ago, and he was accusing American business in particular, but I think it's probably generally true, uh, is that we are seeing our employees, as he referred to as Theory X. And in other words, we just assume they're a problem. They're lazy, they're selfish. And I used to joke in my plant that employees are children and production employees are bad children. So that's number one. Number one, that's a problem because you're not even going to be listening to them. And that's the bulk of your workforce. And even if the problem is not caused down there on the floor, they're all going to appear there. So if you don't get them involved, you have a real problem. So there's that whole culture thing, respect for people, that I think is really, there's really two sides of the same coin. There's the technical part of knowing how to make improvement, but then there's the respect part. The people are most valuable resource. If you don't have both of those, what you end up with is a mezzanine squad of people with belts that are well-meaning, but are overwhelmed, and it's not effective, not impactful. And I see a lot of that. And it doesn't mean that no improvement happens. It means that much more improvement could happen. So many businesses plateau way too soon, and they're satisfied. But Mr. Shingo would say, you got too many X employees. You want Y employees. Means bring it on, bring it on. And that was very fundamental in his thinking. The guy was often, thought of as a technical genius, but you read his books, it was all about people. And so I think he really nailed that. People are brilliant. And just reminding yourself at every point that if you take time to value people, this goes back to that same principle again, that people are the most valuable resource. Don't squander it. Make sure that you're developing those people.
That's so true. I think that for any company out there that's trying to figure out how to have a competitive advantage in the future, having a workplace where people really like the work that they're doing and they're involved in making positive change is such a good strategic advantage that, I see. Our third theme is improvement is a team sport. Leaders create the conditions for change. Improvement really needs everyone. There's no single person who owns improvement. It's a team effort, a collaboration across the departments, shifts, and roles. When everyone contributes their ideas, small changes add up to big impact. It's not about hierarchy or titles, it's about connection and shared responsibility. That's when improvement becomes something everyone is part of, not something done to them. Change doesn't happen because someone announces it. Happens because leaders make space for it. The best leaders don't just set direction, they remove barriers, build trust, and coach others to succeed. While it's true that improvement is intrinsic, improvement isn't automatic. Everybody wants to improve, But for your improvement initiative in your organization to succeed, it's important to have some responsibility assigned for the improvement effort.
As you grow and become a leader, and the leader doesn't mean that you have to have a direct report, right? The leader can be you leading the team, you leading the project, leading the group that interface with the customer, also called leader, right? And what I learned early enough in my career is that you can't do everything yourself. As a leader, if you want to have a multiplier on your result, learn to empower others. Bring them into the journey. It's just like when you go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go fast and go far, you go together.
I think that's such a good lesson. I think when the list of things that you want to accomplish and do grows beyond what you're able to accomplish on your own, you realize you need other people on this journey. That's a great insight.
So EQ is how people act from an emotional standpoint. What's their ability to understand? What's their self-awareness? How do they deal with emotions? And are they in a proper place to be able to improve something? Because when you go in or you have a meeting and say, hey, your process is broken, if they don't have that EQ, okay, they don't have that self-awareness or those self-awareness tools, what do you think happens? Okay, they shut down, they get defensive, we can't move the needle, that, hey, I don't have a problem, my department's fine, why are you bugging me? And then you have relationship issues, right? So that's the EQ part. And there's a lot of good studies out there that shows, IQ, what you have, what I have, that's it. We can't change that. Now we can study, we can learn, but ultimately at the end of the day, our IQ is really kind of what we're born with. Q, okay, is the number one predictor of workplace performance, is what studies are showing out there. So people and their EQ, if we can improve that, and then they're better prepared to launch into improving the business. So if I don't have the people in the right place, and this is something that I've learned, and you can't teach old dog new tricks and that kind of stuff. And I've really come to embrace that. Now, EQ, I've taken classes and I'm certified in it, those type of things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's working with people to really understand how they deal with their emotions and how they can become more self-aware, socially aware, because not only your self-awareness, but social awareness, right? It's a couple elements in there that you got to be able to, deal with your own emotions and how do you deal with other people? Because then that leads into the teamwork piece, right? If you're going to value stream something out. So it's beautiful about how it ties into that. I use a lot of terms. I'm going, that's lean, that's kind of a Kaizen approach. Okay, that's a Toyota, approach. They don't understand that necessarily. They talk a little bit about how just business improves in general. So that's the EQ. The other part of it that we're working on, and it's a corporate-wide effort, is extreme ownership. And I don't know if you've ever seen this book. I'll throw this up here. So, it's how U.S. Navy SEALs lead and how they win. And, kind of what they did in the battlefield, in terms of wars. And obviously, kind of like medical devices, if you're in war, you're talking about life and death. Yeah. And so they have a lot of great concepts in there about ownership. Okay. So it's one thing, are you emotionally prepared, right? So EQ. And then, well, do you own it? Okay. And a lot of people don't own it, right? If they don't own it, then it's somebody else's problem. They're not being proactive. They're not staying on top of this. And so this all really kind of ties into how we kind of mirror these things together. And if the people are properly prepared, then we're going to move the business a lot quicker, a lot faster. People are going to be more engaged. We're going to have better decision-making. We're going to have improved coping. Professional relationships are going to be better. And, a lot of these things they talk about in Toyota, they just don't talk about it from that standpoint. The emotional side of things, I just really, like I said, I really never got it, but I get it now. And so I'm just a lot more aware of things that we need to do prep-wise in order to launch into really effective process improvement.
Our fourth and final theme is improvement is a habit, not just a project. So improvement isn't a one-time event or checklist you complete. It's a rhythm. It's a process that you want to repeat. The most effective teams treat improvement like brushing their teeth, a daily practice that keeps everything healthy and sharp. From daily stand-ups and huddles to regular reflection sessions, it's the consistency that compounds the results. That's when improvement stops being an initiative and starts being a way of life.
I always tell people, I say it this way, which is continuous improvement is a mindset. Process improvement is a methodology. So continuous improvement is about how you think and how you approach your work. And yeah, so I think of them as very different. Project management is about, we have the, this is rigor, right? We have this project that we need to manage, make sure it comes in on budget, comes in on time, and produces the results that we expect. Continuous improvement is empowerment. And it is, hey, this is in my way. This is slowing me down. This is preventing me from getting better. I'm going to take a look at this and figure out how we can do this better at every level of employee. So to me, that's the difference. And so, yes. So from a continuous improvement standpoint, if you were to just give it to a couple people and say, go continuously improve, it just can't happen in a vacuum like that. And so there will be frustration and there won't be any kind of gains really.
You first want to find out what is the current, I'd say, company culture. What drives the company? Is it more sales? So do they have like a CEO or leadership, which is after we want to grow desperately, kind of no matter what the margins or the costs are, but we want to grow for whatever the reason? Or are they more marketing oriented, right? There's companies where I worked before, like Henkel, the German multinational. They're very strong on brands and brand value and brand image, or take Apple, for example, right? So if you want to drive continuous improvement, that is a mindset. It is obviously also a whole set of tools. It will become an organization, but you want to establish that mindset to say, in simple words, we want to be better tomorrow than we are today. And then the trick is defining that. What does it mean? What means better, right? And what means tomorrow? Is it a year from now? Is it 5 years from now? But that's where you start. And you typically start with the leadership of the organization to bring them on board to start that, I'd say, is a journey, right? Because it doesn't stop with 10 projects. It doesn't stop with appointing 8 people and say, level 3 in the organization, we pick 8 people, you're going to do CI now and come back to us in a year and report on all the savings you've done. Also, a lot of people associate continuous improvement with cost savings. That's wrong, right? It can be a lot more. It can be an organizational continuous improvement that, the people work more efficiently, that you get, if you will, from an employer perspective, that you get more out of the resources you have employed. It could be a transformation that you go from a lot of manual work into automation. So continuous improvement can mean a lot of things. And I think the first one is to establish the buy-in into that mindset, being better tomorrow than today. And then describe to them on a leadership level, what would that mean? Because it means you're not happy with it today, right? You're not happy with a good year of sales because it could be coincidental because of market situation. You want to do the next. So that is, call it create a curiosity, call it, whatever, but that's the first thing. Then I would say still at that level, you want to define realistic phases. What do you actually want to improve, right? First thing comes to mind was everybody's cost, especially in the example you stated with a couple of manufacturing facilities. So you want to look at, okay, how much cost could we actually take out without having anything suffer? How much working capital can we take down? How much inventory can we save? Then you start looking at the other angle of it. Okay, once we've done all that, once that machinery is humming and singing, how can we turn that into more sales, right? How can we transform marketing? So that is different at every company, but that is essential that you define kind of your building blocks of what you want to do. And then you break it down to the rest of the organization. Then you would invite, let's say, all the managers of a larger company, or you would invite all the operation people. And then you would create your case for that being better tomorrow than today. And especially important, the why. I'm a big fan of that why. So people got to understand the why. You also want to have them ask, okay, why do we want to do that? Why do we want to embark on that? And there's a couple of reasons, right? One, you want to be able to pay tomorrow's salary. I've yet to meet someone who doesn't want to have more money, right?
Hasn't happened.
If the last 30 episodes have taught us anything, it's that there's not one size fits all for improvement. Improvement never stops. So as we move into the next 30, I can't wait to keep learning from the people who are shaping what's next. For our listeners, if you'd like to suggest a guest, ask a question, or give us any ideas for episodes or content, you can reach out to me, Keith Norris, on LinkedIn. This concludes this episode of KPI Fireside, a continuous improvement podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to add a comment, like, follow, subscribe, check us out on the socials, and share the podcast with friends or colleagues who are as passionate about continuous improvement as you are. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. And until next time, keep driving progress and sparking change.